Right now, 1/3 of all adults on Earth are not getting enough sleep. In Japan, the average person sleeps just 6 hours and 10 minutes. In the United States, 73% of high schoolers are sleep deprived. And globally, over 850 million people suffer from insomnia. But here's what makes this different from every other health crisis. It's not getting better, it's getting worse. Every force shaping the modern world, screens, hustle culture, climate change, artificial intelligence, is pushing us further away from sleep. And the consequences are not what you think. This isn't about being tired. Sleep deprivation is linked to Alzheimer's, cancer, heart attacks, and suicide. The WHO has classified night shift work as a probable carcinogen, in the same category as lead exposure. Being awake for just 24 hours makes you as cognitively impaired as being legally drunk. This is the health emergency that nobody is treating like one, and the future is about to make it much worse. To understand why sleep deprivation is so dangerous, you need to understand what sleep actually does. And the answer was only discovered in 2012. A neuroscientist named Maiken Nedergaard at the University of Rochester found something extraordinary. During deep sleep, the spaces between your brain cells expand by over 60%. This allows cerebrospinal fluid to rush through your brain like a power washer, flushing out toxic waste products that build up while you're awake. She called it the glymphatic system, and it is essentially your brain's cleaning crew. One of the main things this system clears is amyloid beta protein, the sticky plaque that is the hallmark of Alzheimer's disease. A study published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences found that just one night of sleep deprivation increases amyloid beta in your brain by 25 to 30%. One night. Here's the terrifying part. The glymphatic system is only active during sleep. There is no substitute, no drug, no meditation. No amount of coffee can replace what your brain does while you're unconscious. When you skip sleep, your brain is literally marinating in its own toxic waste. And the damage accumulates night after night after night. The health consequences of chronic sleep deprivation read like a horror movie. Heart disease. Sleeping fewer than 6 hours a night increases your risk of a heart attack by 20%. When daylight saving time pushes clocks forward and everyone loses just 1 hour, heart attacks spike by 24% the very next day. 1 hour. Cancer. A single night of poor sleep can reduce your natural killer cell activity by up to 70%. These are the immune cells that hunt and destroy cancer cells in your body. The World Health Organization classified night shift work as a probable carcinogen in 2007, and 1 in 5 workers globally does regular night shifts. Alzheimer's. People with declining sleep quality from their 50s to their 60s show significantly more tau tangles in their brains, one of the primary predictors of the disease. Mental health. Adolescents sleeping less than 8 hours are 3 times more likely to attempt suicide. And sleep disturbances increase suicide risk independently of depression, meaning poor sleep alone is a standalone risk factor. 7 of the 15 leading causes of death in the United States are linked to poor sleep quality. This is not a lifestyle inconvenience. This is a public health catastrophe. So how did we get here? The answer is that every pillar of modern life is engineered to steal your sleep. Screens. 93% of Gen Z have lost sleep because of social media. Blue light from devices has led to a 38% reduction in natural melatonin production. Netflix autoplays the next episode in 8 seconds, and 90% of Americans report losing sleep to binge watching. The share of adults who call themselves chronically sleep deprived because of social media has doubled since 2016. Hustle culture. 59% of millennial professionals have reduced their sleep to meet work expectations. 67% of remote workers report working beyond standard hours. In Japan, 25% of companies require 80 hours of overtime per month. They have a word for death by overwork. Karoshi, light pollution. The world's artificially lit areas are expanding every year. 4.4 billion humans now live in cities bathed in artificial light that suppresses melatonin and disrupts circadian rhythms. Gaming. 71% of hardcore gamers report poor sleep quality. Professional esports athletes in Asia average just 5.2 hours per night. Gamers delay bedtime by an average of 101 minutes on nights they play. Each of these forces would be a problem on its own. Together, they are a perfect storm. And every one of these forces is accelerating. Climate change is coming for your sleep. A study in One Earth found that for every 10 degrees Celsius increase in ambient temperature, total sleep drops by nearly 10 minutes and deep sleep declines by almost 3%. By 2050, rising temperatures will cause 6 additional nights of insufficient sleep per 100 people. By 2099, that number triples to 14. Under the worst emission scenario, climate change alone could steal 33 hours of sleep per person per year. And the impact falls hardest on the people with the least resources, 3 times worse in lower-income countries and twice as bad for the elderly. Artificial intelligence is not freeing us from work. It's intensifying it. Research shows that higher AI exposure correlates with longer work hours and less leisure time. An increase in AI exposure from the 25th to the 75th percentile adds 2.2 extra hours of work per week. AI is creating cognitive overload, always-on expectations, and a new kind of burnout that follows you into bed. Urbanization continues to accelerate. Light pollution continues to grow. Screen time continues to climb. We are building a civilization that is fundamentally incompatible with the biology of sleep. Sleep deprivation doesn't just destroy health. It destroys economies. A landmark study by the Rand Corporation found that insufficient sleep costs the global economy up to $680 billion every year across just 5 countries. The United States alone loses $411 billion and 1.2 million working days annually. Japan loses $138 billion. That $680 billion is more than the entire GDP of Switzerland. And the human cost is staggering. Drowsy driving kills 6,400 Americans every year. A AAA study found that 17.6% of all fatal crashes between 2017 and 2021 involved a drowsy driver. That's roughly 30,000 deaths in 5 years. Over 150 million Americans admit to driving so tired they couldn't keep their eyes open. The Chernobyl nuclear disaster, the Exxon Valdez oil spill, the Challenger space shuttle explosion. All 3 had one thing in common: sleep-deprived decision-makers at critical moments. Rand calculated that if every American sleeping under 6 hours got just 1 more hour of sleep, it would add $226 billion to the economy. 1 hour of sleep, $226 billion. The good news is that we know exactly what to do. The question is whether we'll actually do it. Sleep technology is booming. The global sleep tech market is projected to grow from $20 billion today to nearly $66 billion by 2033. Smart mattresses, circadian lighting systems, wearable sleep trackers, and AI-powered sleep coaching are all advancing rapidly. Policy is starting to catch up. California became the first state to mandate that high schools cannot start before 8:30 a.m. after over 120 experts signed a consensus letter saying the evidence for later start times is unequivocal. The results speak for themselves: more sleep, better grades, fewer car accidents, less depression. Some companies are installing napping pods and banning after-hours emails. In Seoul, nap cafes have opened where exhausted workers can rent a private sleep capsule. Chronotherapy and circadian medicine are emerging as legitimate clinical fields. But individual solutions cannot fix a systemic problem. We need to stop glorifying sleep deprivation as a sign of hard work. We need labor regulations that respect biological limits. We need urban planning that accounts for light pollution. And we need to recognize that sleep is not a luxury. It is as essential as food and water. The science is settled. The data is overwhelming. Every hour of sleep we sacrifice, we pay for with our health, our safety, and our future. The only question left is whether we wake up to the crisis before the damage becomes irreversible.